Okay, hello guys. Welcome to our Death or Glory streaming. It's the first time we're doing this, so hopefully there won't be too many glitches. So let's go get on the road. Okay, I'm happy to share with you Death or Glory dueling card game with you. I'm the developer, Roylo, and let me explain to you what is Death or Glory dueling card game, okay? So, this is a new take on a card game where think of it as a fusion between a traditional card game and a fighting game, something like a Street Fighter, okay? The key insight for us designing this game is three aspects: synergy, big effect, and countering, okay? What I mean by that is, think of a traditional card game. In a traditional card game, you try to string combos together by playing cards with synergy. And when you do that, chances are you activate something really crazy. Sometimes you can summon a lot of dragon eggs and then hatch all the dragonlings, and then that will overwhelm your opponent. Okay? But actually, in a fighting game, you're doing the same. By, for instance, you jab with a light punch and then follow up with a crazy axe kick that sends the opponent up high in the air, and then follow up with lots of combos. So this is the insight that helps us design our game. And so that's the other aspect of the game is countering, which is, imagine a fighting game. If your opponent gets to do all these crazy combos, it is no fun. But if the opponent can actually interrupt your moves and counter, then it's a lot more exciting. So that's why we are trying to do a game where decision matters, synergy matters, and big effect matters. So instead of me talking, let me show you a little bit more of what the game is about. So we have a demo out on Steam right now, and in the demo you get to play the Kung Fu fighter called Lee. But in the live game, you actually can play a lot more different characters. So, for instance, you can have a werewolf, you can have a mech, you can have a paladin, and Crystal, the Ice Mage Fairy. I'll talk a lot more about these characters later, but let's focus on Lee first, okay? Lee is a deadly martial artist. Flow like water and strike like lightning, he would say. A tragic incident forced him to fight in the arena when he was small. If not for the mysterious seafood that saved him, he would no longer be alive. But this second chance in life has hardened his resolve to endure the most punishing training. As a result, the Dragon Warrior was born. So, the fighting style of Lee is he'll string together upper and lower combos that generates a special effect to overwhelm his opponent. Okay? So let us launch into the game. Now this is our single player arena mode. You get to battle progressively harder and harder opponents until you get to the boss and you try to defeat the boss. Okay, there are right now 7 opponents you need to get through before you can win the trophy. So our first opponent is called Hidden Wind. The perfect assassin cannot be seen, cannot be caught. It's like trying to fight against a breeze. A quick flash of the blaze is a blessing, for all we all must die someday, okay? So there's a mysterious ninja you need to fight for the first battle. Thank you for all you guys listening. I see that we have quite an audience over here right now, so I'm really happy because we have spent a lot of effort designing and making this game. We have poured our heart and soul into it. Actually, right now we have our community manager, Jonathan, beside me. He'll be helping me with all the feedback you guys are giving. I personally am not really used to streaming myself, so it's my first time. So if there are any snacks, I hope you guys will be more tolerant. Okay, let's start the game. So the right now in the game we have 5 classes, but it's not just any class like for instance an archer or a thief, like an RPG, right? We hope to categorize all the fantasy characters we can imagine and then group them into 5 classes. Think of 5 classes as 5 mechanics that can capture all the fantasy characters you can imagine. Okay, so right now in this first battle, both are warriors. So with warriors, you can have a Kung Fu fighter as warrior, you can have a ninja as warrior, or you can have a Viking or a samurai, or we actually have a fencer as a warrior as well. So the warrior trope is, you know, all the people that use weapons and martial prowess to win the game. You know, these are the warriors. In the game, warriors tries to increase its momentum as a result, because what's so special about our game is that each class has this unique resource system. So basically, right now, we have 5 resource systems in our game. So with warrior tries to increase its momentum and then play more powerful cards by using those momentum, okay? So the game starts with giving you 5 cards, and then you have to discard a card. Some people find this mechanic a little bit strange. Why do I need to discard a card? Because the game is designed in such a way that you need to string together combos to achieve synergies. You cannot do that without card flows. Those who have played a lot of card games understand the concept of card flows, meaning you need the right cards at the right time. So to achieve that, we want to give you more card selection to choose from. So at the start of the game, you get to choose from 5 cards. Sorry, you need to discard 1 card because you get to keep 4. Okay. So with Lee, the focus is to string together upper and lower strike. So actually I have a very good hand that focus on this mechanic. So what that really means is this. So let's say kidney blow. If an uppercut is in play, apply trauma to your opponent. So what's the meaning of if an uppercut is in play? So kidney blow actually is the lower strike. This is an upper strike. So if I can play my neck shot first, and then play my kidney blow, I will activate my trauma. Trauma is basically put a mechanic, place a debuff on my opponent. Then I get a chance to hurt him at the end of every turn. Because my damage will accumulate, at the end of turn damage will also accumulate. So in the long game, Lee will surely win the game, okay? Now this is a very interesting card for Twin Dragon. So it let me replay a card that I have already played. So for instance, if I were to activate Throw Jab, the activation damage is another 4. That means instead of the normal 6 damage, I get to do 10. 10 is significant because your opponent only has 35 damage. So if I can replay that card, I can do another 10 damage. That means over half of his life will be gone. Okay, so depending on the situation, there's a lot of depth with the lead deck. So do I want to draw cards? Do I want to extra damage? Or do I want inevitability? So with Trauma, I get to damage him at the end of it. Every turn there's a chance there. Sometimes I might be unlucky. It might not activate, but in the long game, I will always win. Okay, give me a second. I need some water. Okay, so let's discard a card. So now, when I consider discarding a card, I consider 2 things. Beginning of the game, I have no momentum, meaning the shuriken, and the symbol at the top right corner will have a momentum symbol. The yellow shuriken, meaning I generate momentum, and the red symbol, top right red symbol, means I consume momentum. So because I have no momentum at the beginning, I will try to generate momentum. So let's say I discard this card. So, as I've said before, let's try to activate this Trauma. So I'll do that by playing the next shot. Oh, at the beginning of the turn, the fiery thing is a randomizer. So at the beginning of the turn, there's a randomizer to decide who gets to start the game first. So turn 1, I have the initiative, so I get to start the turn. Then it alternates. Turn 2, my opponent will get to start the turn. So I play the next shot. Okay. That lands and does 4 damage. And now I have a chance if he doesn't stop me, because right now my hand is all offensive. Later you will get to see some defensive cards, because every card can be stopped. So it is possible that he can stop my offense. So I'll try to activate Trauma. Okay, that succeeds. And Trauma is activated. And every subsequent damage, I can put more Trauma value on him. That basically acts as a DOT, meaning at the end of the turn, for instance, he'll take 2 damage. If I do more damage, he'll take more at the end of every turn. So I have used up all my action points right now. Lee, most cards would use 1 action point. So after having played 3 cards, it will use up all my action points, and I have to pass. Now, okay, so I can't do anything, even though this normally is a defensive card. Okay, I do not have enough action points. Otherwise, I can stop him. Okay, if I were to stop him, I get to act. Okay, so if he stops my attack, then he gets to act. So unless you can't stop your opponent, usually there's no waiting around. Oh, that's a big attack. That's a 7 damage. Okay, the red number is the damage, which is 7. So what he has basically done is he generated one momentum and then spent 1 momentum to damage me. So he has passed. After both of us pass, the turn will end.
Your turn.
and he has put the poison on me. Okay, and this card is poison. And at the end of turn, I get to put one card back in hand. So currently, the deck I play has 15 cards in it, and every card is a singleton, at least for the player side. For the AI, they get to play duplicates cards. For instance, this card and this card is a duplicate, but for the player, they are all different. Okay, so now to play the same card again, then at the end of turn, I can choose to put one card back in hand. So I get to play my most appropriate card for the moment again to string together combos. That's the end goal. So right now I have a upper strike in hand, and then I have lower strike. So I choose to put that back in hand because the goal is always to put a upper and then lower strike, or lower and then upper strike to trigger special effects. And let's get rid of this card. Okay, now I can stop it because I have all the action points I need, and then I can deflect. And so let me tell you a little bit about the defensive system. You see the blue symbol, that's the speed. Now, to negate a damage, I try to match my block value. Right now is 3 against this damage, which is 1. So my opponent, this attack is a very weak front-end attack, meaning it doesn't do the damage initially, but the poison will poison you at the end of every turn. So in the long game is bad news for me. So if I were to stop him, what do I do? So I play a defensive card, which are all the green. You see the red symbol, that's a damage. The green symbol, that's a defense. So if I play this card, that will stop the 1. The speed matters if I'm slower than my opponent, meaning let's say if the speed is 3 instead of 4, then I have to discard a card. If I am faster than my opponent, then I get to draw a card instead. Okay, so let's say this card is a quite powerful Dragon Dart. Okay, it nullifies damage from any one attack, meaning regardless of the damage, whether it's 7 like here or even 14 or 20, I can nullify it by dodging. Okay, but it's quite slow. So with a fast attack, speed 4, if I try to play this, I can't, because it says 2 units of speed slower. That means a difference of 2 would be too slow to react to. Okay, so but this card is perfect, deflect, so I get to negate attack. And then because this card says the speed of next attack is increased by 1, so that means my attack is more likely to go through. So what I can do is I play the knee kick. That puts a lower strike in play. And then I play the eye poke. This is the upper strike. If a lower strike is in play, which it is, then this would daze my enemy. Daze meaning opponent discard X cards from his hand. So, you see, that's no guarantee in this game. So my expectation would be I can daze him and force him to discard all the cards, but then he managed to avoid. So he dodged my attack. Because he's slower, so he has to discard a card. Nonetheless, he has stopped my offense. I've used up all my action points, so I have to pass.
Your turn.
So the trauma just triggered, and because I had 4 before, and then he took 4 damage at the end of turn. So I have to pick up a card right now. Let's pick up this card. To discard it. So thank you for the thank you for the comment. suppose I can show the same thing. Yes, we are a dueling card game. So this is a card game where think of it a card game, but and a fighting game. The fusion between a card game and a fighting game. So so right now each card is an action where, for instance, I just attacked him, and then my opponent either take the damage or okay, that triggered, and that does 10 damage to him. But like a fighting game, he has chance to defend against my attack. So I think I can kill him right now if he doesn't block. So I can activate my Twin Dragon and then take back my Pro Jab and attack again. So we have won our first battle against the ninja. Yeah, we have commissioned a musician to help compose our music. Yeah, I'm glad you like it. Okay, so that goes on to our next battle. Now, our last opponent is a warrior. Now, the next opponent you get to see Attacky as an opponent. So, Mass Accelerator. As the pitch gradually rises to a crescendo, the red hot slug pierces the night sky to explode in the advancing column. The secret weapon will stop the war before it begins. So, as you see, this is a very powerful weapon. So, how can Lee handle this? Now, this turret is another class we call Tacky, and it uses different resource, different mechanics, as you'll get to see. Intruder detected indeed. Alright, let's start the game. So, first off, instead of the ninja, you get to see the Tacky resources. They are all different because this is a warrior resource. So Tacky use ammo, heat, and then sometimes it has barrier. So what it means is that think of a gun. When you fire a gun, it'll use up its ammo, and then you need to get reload. Okay, that's the same for Attacky. So Attacky would not be limited by action points and doesn't need to use momentum. And then thank you for the wish list. And then, but after using the ammo, then the Attacky needs to reload. So I'll show you what it means right after let's say. Okay. So if again I try to string together combo, which is the lower strike, the upper strike. Ooh. But he blocks.
Pass.
So as you can see, this card momentum blocker generates 4 heat. So I don't know, any of you have you guys played Mech Warrior? So we have borrowed mechanics from Mech Warrior. So apart from ammo, Attacking will also generate heat. Most of the heat generations are by equipment or defensive cards. So as it overheats, then it needs to cool down. So at the beginning of the game, it doesn't have any heat, but gradually, if it builds up heat, it can't. It has a maximum of 10. So if it approaches 10, then it can't use the defensive card anymore. So I just get blocked. So that's unfortunate. So I'll build some momentum by playing next shot. Ooh! Okay, that's not good. I get stunned now.
Pass.
So he stunned me. Stun meaning I can't. Okay, there's explanation here. The player can't do anything until it is removed. It is removed by being damaged or at the end of turn. So I can't do anything after pass.
Your turn.
So I have to. Let's get rid of this card. This is, as you can see, is a powerful card, but I don't have many lower and upper combo. A lower and upper strike right now, so I won't be using the Twin Dragon for now. Ooh, okay, that's on this. What is countdown? Countdown allows him to replenish 8 ammo and then reduce heat by 4. So that's the Tacky mechanics. Every time he reloads, he'll be completely powerless, but his attacks generally are very, very powerful. So now he is defenseless and needing to reload, so get rid of some of his heat, and then his ammo is at the maximum. So I take this chance, because he can't do anything, I take this chance to basically bash him. So that's one card. I do the leg sweep, that also increases my damage, so... And finish off. So that's a good round for me. He's completely helpless because of reloading. But I have run out of cards and he's still not dead yet. So seems like winning, but I'm in a bit of a scary situation. I will actually take back this one because I have no momentum and the throat jab doesn't need any momentum. Oh, okay. Have some momentum generation. Upper strike paints with the lower strike, so I get rid of this card. Now you see, one strategy to defeat a Tacky is to one strategy to defeat a Tacky is to play cards when he is helpless while he's reloading. So as you can see, previously he was blocking me with momentum blocker. So let's just pass for now and wait for a better chance. Oh yes, oh wow, okay, railgun. So finally he acts and he does massive damage with this railgun. So, and it just so happens so far we haven't been drawing any defensive cards, so I can't do anything about that.
Pass.
So as you can see, the turret has a very predictable cycle. It would try to hit me with something very powerful, then it needs to reload. So the strategy against him is either to kill him before he kill you with the railgun, or somehow has some defensive card to stop the railgun. But right now he's counting down, so he can't do anything. So I can kill him right here, because then that put the lower strike in play, and then I can activate the upper strike. Then kill him. Yes, the game. Thank you for the question. The game will have PvP. In fact, I will show you a little bit right now. Excuse me. The game is actually inspired. You have you mentioned Yomi. Actually, the game I have played Yomi. I find that interesting. The game is inspired to some extent by Yomi as well, because Yomi also tries to string together combos. but we have chosen to incorporate 5 classes, very different, unique, each class with very different, unique take on the combat genre. Let me show you right now. So if I go to this character selection screen, previously I was playing Lee, but you actually have all the different combat styles here. So let me read a little bit to you. Crystal, that's a mage combat style. So while Fairy has an affinity to magic, hardly any are as dedicated to the path as Crystal. The mastery of ice magic is learned by living in the bitter cold of the Arctic. So here's an ice mage. So both the design and the combat style you can feel is very different. She'll try to freeze her opponent. Or you have Red Eye. The ferocity of a werewolf is to be feared. Red Eye strikes terror even among his kind, not only because of those sharp claws and teeth, and because the icy stare behind the icy stare is a stalking predator. So Red Eye will go berserk. Plays very different from a Kung Fu fighter. And then you have Tori. She was a sweet and innocent girl before her parents were murdered in a robbery. The church promised her revenge. Now she is devoted to her cause to punish all sinners of the world. So she is a paladin, and she has a faith, and the faith is actually very central to the playstyle. I'll show you in a minute. And then we have Attacker, all-terrain armored combat robot. Attacker, we call it, is a state-of-the-art vehicle for mechanized warfare, armed with autocannons, machine guns, and a multiple rocket system. A single pilot can devastate an army. So these will be the player characters available at launch, but hopefully we will be releasing even more player characters every month. Okay, that's the goal. So let's show you a little bit about our other characters other than these. Okay, so if I go here, so this is Lee. Just a second. So okay, this is Lee, the one we have just shown you. Okay, so some of the cards you've seen already, so I'll just skip through. I'll skip through these. So this another character we didn't get to see yet. This is the Attacker. That's the Mac that will also be available, and these are some. These are some of the cards that's available. So, Missile Salvo sounds innocuous, but it's actually a very interesting card. 5 Perpetual Missiles. What that means is, Perpetual is a mechanics where after the card is played, it will automatically goes back into your hand. So you get to replay it. So as long as you have ammo, you basically can keep playing the missile salvo and then keeps doing the damage. Basically infinite missiles at your fingertip. And then Force Multiplier is also interesting. So it's equipment that boosts your damage. And then you have that's a reload card for the Attacker. It does almost everything. It reloads you with the ammo and then reduce the heat, and then it also heals you at the cost of you have also to discard the card when you play this card. Okay, Tori is another player character that you'll get to play. So these are some of the cards that she has. Prayer is an interesting mechanic. The prayer mechanics. Hold on 1 second. Sorry, there's so the prayer mechanics is sorry 1 second. I think there's a technical difficulty in that, and my colleague will help me. Okay. So prayer is a mechanic that doesn't automatically succeed. Okay. So this is a class called the Evangelist. The evangelist would try to increase its devotion, which is the top right-hand symbol, every turn until it, with enough devotion, then it gets to transcend. Okay, so a prayer is a mechanics where, depending on the devotion level, it may or may not succeed. It will always fail if your devotion is 0, or your devotion will, your prayer will always succeed if you have a devotion of 10. Okay. So, so it is a evangelist. It is an evangelist mechanics only. So you can pray. In this instance, forgiveness heals you, but you can pray for anything. You can pray for damage. You can pray for perhaps a deck. Oops, sorry. You can pray for a deck full of cards, and it is success or failure depending on your devotion level. Okay. So then Tori also has balance equality. So it's very big on that. So it will draw you cards and heal you based on the life your opponent has. So okay, just 1 second. Let me read some of your comments. Yeah. Oh, yeah. There is healing in this game. Yes. Are there shared cards? So no. The game is designed that, well, yes and no. I should say this. The game is designed to be character centric, meaning each character has a unique deck. Okay. So let me talk a little bit about traditional TCG. In traditional TCG, you get to customize your deck, which is the strength, but then people will gravitate towards the most powerful cards. I used to be a Magic the Gathering player. Currently, I'm too busy, so I no longer follow the scene, so I don't know what the most powerful card is. But let's say, I remember card Thoughtseize, okay? So that's a very powerful card. And then, because it's so powerful, every deck, black deck, or sometimes even trying to splash black into the deck to play that card. So what it ends up with is that the player experience is diminished in some ways because you get to face the same card over and over again. In our case, with the resources, because each class will play so differently because they have different resources, and each character, the deck is unique. Okay, so for instance, with Lee, you see these upper and lower strike cards is only specific to Lee, so it's a Lee mechanic. Okay, and then with the attacker, the missile salvo, the the equipment, the force multiplier, these are attacker cards. So you will not have the paladin firing missiles because it doesn't make sense. So you would not have that. The card art also reflects that. You see the mag firing the missiles, but the paladin will be doing the healing. So each character will have its own unique mechanics reflecting that character. So let me answer more questions. I am the designer and the developer of this game. My name's Roy Lowe. Yes, that's me playing the game. Thank you. Is the deck upgraded over time? The deck. Okay. Each card is not upgradable, okay? Perhaps down the line we might do upgraded cards, who knows? But that will be a totally different mechanics, because as with all card games, we would keep introduce new mechanics. But right now, no card is upgradable. But for the deck, for instance, with Lee, you start with certain number of cards, but we will be releasing more cards for the deck. Okay, that's our approach right now, because we want to keep the game balanced. If we were to introduce upgradable cards, that might screw with our balance, because how do I defend against really powerful cards? Yes, there are some cards that manage to totally negate the damage of an attack, but some cards are block value is very specific. For instance, if my block value is 3, then if your damage keeps increasing, then it wouldn't be able to block that attack. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the concern. Yeah. Been talking too much this morning. So let me show you more about the mechanics of the game. Jump back into the channel. Let's give you a brief preview of what the rules are like. So currently, we don't have a tutorial right now. Obviously, in the full game, we will. Again, right now, we don't have a multiplayer. In the full game, we will. I'll talk more about the multiplayer later. But let me jump into the rules and show you a little bit about the mechanics of the different classes. So with Attacky, it centers on ammo. After you used up your ammo, you need to reload. Then centers on heat. Those who are familiar with Mech Warriors will be very familiar with this mechanics. So you build up heat gradually. Once you build up heat, then again, many reload cards, not all, will reduce your heat. Okay, so but while reloading, you're defenseless. So Attacky obviously has some tricks to defend itself while it's reloading. For instance, this kinetic barrier is a good example. So it puts a barrier on you. The barrier is something like a force field. So it has this particular card put 6 points of barrier on you. Barrier is different from health in one very important aspect, which is if a card damages the barrier, the card effect does not trigger. For instance, if the card were to stun you, but you only damage the barrier, the stun effect does not trigger. So a barrier is better than health in this way. But you can only put maximum of 10 barrier on you. You cannot like put 100 or thousands of barrier on yourself. So there's a limit to barrier. Then for the evangelist, okay. So the evangelist system is kind of interesting because completely different from a warrior. Excuse me. So you see that the evangelist has 2 resources. Well, technically one resource, and the one is a limitation. Okay. Uh, so the primary resource is the devotion. It will gradually increase its devotion until it transcends. So think transcend like something like a transform into. Those who play Super Saiyan will know that term becomes a very, very powerful form. Okay, so Tori, once the devotion increases to 10, it will become something like a super paladin, a super Tori. So, and it also has a prayer mechanics. So the prayer card starting with 0 devotion never succeeds, but a 10 will always succeed. Sometimes you are forced to play your prayer card earlier, so you'll be praying for your prayer card to succeed, something like that. So it's a very flavorful version of a flavorful mechanics of the card. Okay, so I also have a question from you. What's your monetization plan? Okay, so it is a free-to-play game. Okay, you diamonds, but there will be no loot boxes or random packs in the game. Okay, so the game is sold. The characters are either bought with diamonds, which you will accumulate, or they will be bought by US dollars. Okay, so each characters are sold individually. So when the game is first released, you get to try with one free character. After that, you will have to earn the diamonds by playing the game, or you get to purchase each individual character. The character that you want to buy, then you buy that character. Okay, so basically we call it play what you want or pay what you want to play. Okay, so you won't be like, oh, I'll be buying a bunch of cards that I won't find useful, and then I just wasted, I don't know, hundreds of dollars. I still don't get what I want. So if you were interested in this Mac, then you get to pay, and then you get to play this Mac. Okay, but you won't be collecting like, oh, I have this 100 cards, but then it's not enough coherency to form a deck. Okay, that's what not we are going for. I hope that answers the question. Yes, because we feel it's unfair to players that in many SCCG you are paying for hundreds of dollars for a competitive tournament deck, but I think that's over the top. We're going for a reasonable price. You get to enjoy the experience that you want. You can pay for as much as you want if you want to enjoy many, many different characters, or if for some reason one single character satiate your thirst for the game, then that's fine too. So basically, pay whatever you enjoy. Yeah, pay to win is something we try to not go for. Okay, we try to avoid because all the characters we try to balance. Just give me a second because Jonathan's telling me something. Thank you. Jonathan says our streaming right now is quite popular. So thank you for you all you guys watching. So yeah, okay, let's continue with the presentation. If you have more question, ask away. I'll try to answer them. So let me continue with the game. Yeah, okay, continue with the arena. Okay, Nevesto. People are afraid because they don't know. They don't know the hearts of men and they don't know the future. Some are even blind to what's in front of them, but not him. He sees everything. Okay, so a very mysterious opponent. And he's an evangelist and get to find out what his mechanic is. Yes, the main so right now you're watching me play. You're basically getting to see all the gameplay, the main gameplay loops as I play it. Yes. So I will start the fight right now. Any of these? Yes. Some of these cards you haven't seen. So for a roll, it's good against long range attacks. Elbow block, basically a defensive card. For the past two games, I have been drawing a lot of offensive cards, but Lee has quite a lot of defensive options too. So that's a lower strike, upper strike. Okay. Let's just start this. Okay, I get to start first. As with most warrior fights, I try to build momentum in the beginning, so I play the eye poke. Ooh, okay. So eyes. What is that? So this is the mechanic of this character. It loves eyes. I hope you get to see in a minute why. Is so it tries to build eye level. Oh, the music is off. Just give me a second. Oh, okay. Yes. I hope you can hear the music. So this guy is trying to build eyes. Not sure what these eyes are yet, but it blocks my attack, even in the air. Okay, doesn't look too friendly. So and then he's now counter-attacking with eyes, branched soul. You are granted eyes 2, and your devotion is further increased by 1. So let me talk a little bit more about devotion. Devotion indicates your progress towards transcendence. Your prayers are more likely to succeed with higher value. So I'll get more and more scared as the game progresses, as he builds momentum. So Red Soul is pretty fast, speed 4. I can try to block it, double block, but then I have to discard a card. But it does only 2 damage, so I would rather not pass here.
Pass.
Okay, he's I 4 now, so I don't know what I does, but it looks a bit scary. I still have action points though, and seemingly his level decreases each time you're damaged for 2 or more, so I get to decrease his eye level. I don't like eyes right now. So, pass?
Your turn.
Pass.
Okay, I pick up this card. Okay, this card you haven't seen is a Dragon Blitz. That's a lot of damage, gives us 2 momentum, and you're exhausted after playing, so you can't do anything. The lower strikes are no combo chaining together. I will discard the Dragon Dance. So when you're playing an evangelist, you always have a sense of foreboding, meaning they're always working towards something powerful. I can block this here, fully encounter 5 damage. I have 5 blocks, so block it. Early more momentum building. Alright. Lost it again. His devotion is already at 5, so
Pass.
he's kind of halfway there towards transcendence. Oh yeah, by the way, there's another thing I forgot to mention. An evangelist is limited to only playing 2 cards a turn. Think of it as they have to be humble and have to have forbearance before they reach Godhood. Okay, that's the way I think about it. Okay, so they cannot go crazy yet before they become really hard. Okay, I have a question. Thank you for the comment. Yes, the animation you see, that's not the final version. There's still more animation to put into a game right now. So yeah, we hope to continuously make the game more and more lively. You're correct. Card game needs more visual opponent. Card games need more visually exciting things because card game by its very nature is not very dynamic. So I have used up my momentum. I take back this card. So right now, this card is a parry. Okay, a parry basically is both an offense and a defense. So it's a very flexible card, not a powerful card, a flexible card. So I'll just kill because I can't play this parry card yet. No.
Your turn.
Oh, well, it's good news is I've reduced this card. Well, this I to 1. Stop this.
Your turn.
But then can't block this, right?
Your turn.
Devotion is at 8.
Your turn.
The good news is I'm winning the game. So you never know against the evangelist. I would keep the defensive card. So every turn you get to make a decision. So basically, when I say decision matters, meaning you have a lot of chance to make decision. So at the end of the turn, you're offered a bunch of cards and you have to discard one, meaning you have to choose between offense and defense. Even defense, there's a faster version, but a less powerful one, or a slower but a more powerful one. So you're always making decision and trade-off, and then for instance, here your opponent, chances are, will be taking this card back into his hand, and I get to see that. If I have a powerful block, or a fast block rather, then I would want to keep that, because then I can block this card. So there is a lot of cat and mouse mind game in this game, because I see some of what my opponent is doing, but not everything. The same, of course, applies to him trying to guess me. So right now, I have seen, what have I seen? I have seen this card. Okay. I have seen this card. Okay, this is the Transcendence card. Okay. So that's what he will be playing if he gets to Transcend. So this attack is piercing. Piercing meaning I cannot block it. Block means, you know, most reaction cards are blocked, some are not. Dodge is not a block, but most cards cannot block this. And he gets to draw a card for every I level. So I is 3. If he managed to land this card when he transcends, then he gets to draw 3 cards. Obviously, very, very powerful. So I have to decide what to keep and what to leave behind. Now, if I keep all my block cards or defensive card, then there won't be very much offense left. So need to kill him. So I have to try to balance it out. I'll keep the momentum card for sure because I have no momentum. I guess I'll discard the parry. Playing this last thing. By the way, the resource number top right hand corner, it triggers whether I block it or not, so its devotion always increases, so there's no point. To prevent the damage, yes, I can block it, but right now I have to discard the card because I'm not fast enough. Okay, so he transcends. Becomes this ugly guy with lots of eyes. He's still chipping away at me. And after he transcends, you suddenly see that he can attack many times, not just twice. Okay, so that's the benefit of transcendence. So for some of the classes, your power level, they are not constant. For warrior, generally speaking, because you have 3 action points, you generally speaking are quite even throughout the game. But for some characters, it becomes very powerful suddenly. Okay. So it is still building lots of eyes. I can block this. Oh, it's a piercing attack. Oh yeah, of course. If your devotion is 6 or greater, this attack is piercing, so I can't block it. So the game also has a lot of hints to tell you sometimes you can't do stuff. So it helps you to learn.
Pass.
So
Pass.
So both of these cards are defensive cards, I can't do anything, so I'm not.
Your turn.
So it's scary that he has 8 eyes. Potentially, if he gets to play the card I showed you earlier, he can draw 8 cards. So almost winning the game right there if he gets to do that. So I would keep this card to defend against the previous card I mentioned, the very powerful card that allows him to draw a bunch of cards. But he still wants some offense, so I'll just discard the elf block. Because I want to be attacking. Right. Stop. 9. 1. Okay, so I cannot allow this card to land. So thankfully I have the Dragon Dance. The speed matches up with his speed, and I nullify all the damage. Because it's not a block, his piercing doesn't work for me. But if he were to land this card, his 8 eyes means he instantly draw 8 cards and he can win the game right there. So sometimes with winning or not is deceiving. So right now I have to dodge this card. I catch the dragon.
Your turn. Pass.
Now Transcendence is not forever. Okay? Generally, Transcendent lasts 3 turns, and then the devotion drops back to 5, and he has to accumulate the devotion. So, most of the time, you can win by going Transcendence, but not always. But I have to figure out a way to finish the game. Yes. So, take a risk. Got the turn. If I survive, okay, my goal is to land the leg sweep. See what he does. Stick to that.
Your turn. Pass.
My goal is to land the leg sweep, and that will knock down my opponent, then he can't defend. Okay? Because he has been blocking all my moves. So I can do the leg sweep. This is the card that's responsible for blocking all my stuff. because it will have a block of 4 plus 1, 5, and that's that. So let me finish the game right here. Let's try this.
Pass. Pass.
So you see, with the right combo, he can Okay, so we answer some questions. So what's this game world like? Stuff like this exists. Yes, we have built a game world. The your turn thing. Yes, I get that comment. Your turn voice is actually my voice. Not really a voice actor, I guess. Yeah, I will be. All these sound effects, they are professionally made, but we haven't made changes to the pass and your turn and voice line. Yes, I agree that your turn thing gets a little bit on. So let's talk about the game world. Yes, the game world, we have built the game world ourselves, but it needs to be realized. So currently we are focusing on building the game, make it as exciting as possible, make it as stable as possible, making multiplayer stable, etc. Because we are an indie game developer, we are working with a small team. But once these things are done, we will work to flesh out more about the game world. But we have a game world in mind with all these different factions. Different people have the love and the hate, why people are fighting against each other. Some factions would use magic, other factions would use technology. How come some factions have access to technology while others do not? We have all these worked out, but it needs to be realized in a more visual way. So we'll be working on that when we. Okay, so let's take a pause here and go back to some of the other things I showed you. So just 1 second. Yeah, needing some technical things fixed. Just 1 second. Okay, so that. Okay, the audio thing. Okay, fine. So, fine. I've been showing you factions of the Tacky, and then the Evangelist. What I haven't shown you is this is our Spellslinger, the Mage class. Okay. So the Mage class obviously use mana, okay? We use a very traditional mana system. Is you start with 3 mana, and then the mana gets to be replenished at the end of every turn. But that maximum mana also gets increased by playing some cards, okay? For instance, Crystal has this card called Cosmic Attunement, increase maximum mana by 1, so the maximum mana rises from 3 to 4, and then you play more increased mana cards then to 5, 6, etc. So Spellslinger class is a very late game class, so as it accumulates more mana, it gets to play more and more cards every turn, and it also gets to play more and more powerful cards every turn. For instance, Shard of Eternity. That's a fairly powerful card with big damage, 9 damage. But if your Arcane Resonance 2 or greater, which I'll explain later what is Arcane Resonance, this attacks Piercing. Piercing means it cannot be blocked. Okay, so you have a 9 damage unblockable attack. Obviously, can finish the game very, very quickly. Okay, so Arcane Resonance is the other resource that a Spellslinger utilize. Think of it as power level. Okay, Arcane Resonance is something like power level. So power level is increased against there. I don't have an example to show you, but some cards increase the Arcane Resonance of these Spellslingers. So as your Arcane Resonance is increased, some of your cards itself becomes more powerful. Think of it like a boosted version of the card. Okay, so as an Ice Mage, which Crystal is, obviously freezes. Freeze meaning once an opponent is freezed, your opponent can only play 1 card a turn. As you can imagine, it's very limiting. But it gradually wears off. So Frozen 2 means for 2 turns, your opponent will be frozen for 2 turns. But then that it is countdown, 2, 1, and then 0, you are unfrozen. Okay, so that's what it means. Okay, so as you can see, compared with the other player characters, again, very, very different. So Crystal is a Spellslinger. In the demo, a bit later, I'll be showing you another Spellslinger, but uses fire magic. Okay, and he will try to burn you. Okay, she will try to burn you. Actually, there's a she. So, so this is the Spellslinger class. Then I also want to show you our monster class. Okay, monster class. This is our Red Eye, the werewolf, and again plays very, very different. Red Eye loves to go berserk, so once this rage builds up, it can do repeated crazy attacks. So monster uses a resource called Bloodlust. Every time it damages your opponent, then the Bloodlust level rises. Okay, so the top right-hand corner, 1 or 4 is a requirement. It's not even a resource being consumed. Basically, as the rage level rises, it gets to play more and more powerful cards. For instance, we have a card called Ravenous Champion. It doesn't look much, but Leech means each point of damage you do, it also heals you. So, as it is, it's 7 points of damage you do to your opponent, but also heals you for 7. But if you have been damaged that turn already, that damage is increased to 7 plus 5, which is 12. So you do a 12 damage and heal 12. Obviously, very, very powerful. So again, the playstyle is very different. Unleash. Unleash is another monster mechanic. So each class we have generally has 2 mechanics specific to that class. Okay. So Bloodlust I've explained earlier, and Unleash is the other mechanic. Unleash basically means monster. Think of a monster in films or fictions. Okay, so or a monster is kind of a more powerful version of an animal. So when you hear the phrase say "Don't poke the bear," meaning the animal may not start being ferocious. Okay, it will stay docile in the beginning, but as it is getting provoked, it will unleash on you. So that's what it means for a monster. So a monster in game mechanics terms can only attack once a turn. Very limiting. But once it unleashes by playing an unleash card, it gets to attack up to 10 times a turn. So again, this class plays very, very aggressively, unlike the previous Spellslinger class. Spellslinger class is more a late game class as it builds mana gradually, and Arcane Resonance gradually. All the cards gets more powerful. You get to play more cards in the late game. But with a monster, once it unleashes, it basically gets to dump his hand on his opponent. So, okay, that's art of Red Eye going berserk. Okay. So, as you can see, these are some of our cards in the game. Some are, for instance, the top row, that's our duelist. And the middle row you have seen, that's the crystal cards. And then a bit later you get to experience some of the bottom row, which is our vampires. Kelly's a vampire. She'll try to drain you, basically damage you, and then heal herself. Okay, and that's what a vampire does. So you have a bunch of different fantasy tropes in our game. And then, as I mentioned earlier, each character will have this unique deck. Okay, so it doesn't mean mechanics are never repeated. For instance, if I were to stun you with, let's say, a big cannon, it doesn't mean other characters cannot use that stun attack. Some mechanics, yes, will only be used once and once only, but many, like healing, for instance, very general, like draw a card, that's very general. So it's unreasonable to expect these cards to be used only once in the game. So we can't come up with 300 mechanics for 300 cards. And also, it would be a pain to remember 300 mechanics. So mechanics can be shared, but cards would not. Okay, so you have a deck for the duelist. Inigo the duelist. He might have this entangle card. That's very fancy. He will try to use his clothes to basically wrap around his opponent's weapon, and that will slow down his opponent. The speed of all the opponent's attacks is reduced by 1 for the rest of the game. Okay, and then it can accumulate. So basically -1, -2, etc. Now this is very powerful card, but it's only available to Inigo. And then again, the playstyle, not just each individual card, the playstyle is also very different. He will try to feign, basically try to jab at you a little bit with his rapier, and then do a powerful thrust to overcome your defense. And then after you play the game, there are also what we call bonus cards, meaning the deck is a pre-built deck in the beginning. When you buy the character, or when first time you go into a game, you are given a free character that will unlock the character ready to play. Okay, that's 15 cards, all singletons. But as you play the game, then you get to the option to customize your deck, meaning more cards will be available for that character. Currently, the number is 15 plus 5, meaning eventually, if you gain experience for the character, eventually you will unlock all 5 bonus cards, so you have 20 to choose from. Obviously, down the road, releasing even more cards for each character, but right out of the gate, there will be 15 plus 5, meaning 15 default cards. And then as you unlock more cards, then you get to put in your deck. You get to choose. Oh, I don't want so many momentum cards, or I want to be more aggressive. I'll take out all my defensive cards. Well, that's your choice. Okay, so you can customize your deck that way. So right now, in front of me, there's a very interesting card. Apply Death Mark to your opponent. That's Lee's bonus card, Hidden Dragon. So Death Mark is actually a mechanic that's just for this card. Death Mark means first you have to apply it to your opponent, but then the second time a Death Mark hits your opponent, there is a 70% chance he's instantly killed, regardless of HP. Okay, so very powerful card. Our team is enjoying using this card to beat our bosses. which I'll come on to. So single player, whoops. Ooh, okay. Single player mode right now is arena. There will be story modes that hopefully introduce more of our game worlds. We'll have a mini quest like telling you guys, because it's very character-centric game, so we'll want to build backstory of the characters. For instance, this Hidden Wind, what's the deal with him? Okay, what's under his mask? For instance, does he belong to any faction in the game world? So we'll gradually build out the game world that way. Okay, there'll be a single fight challenges as well. Perhaps we'll mix things up by applying special conditions to a fight. Okay, that's on the cards. So let me talk a little bit more about the arena, which is our primary fighting mode. The arena have you fight 7 opponents, 7 random opponents to win the trophy. Okay. It is, you can see the silver color and then the gold color and then the final round, which is the boss. The silver colors are, let's call it tier 1 enemies, and then you progress to tier 2 enemies, more powerful enemies. Every time you play the arena is randomized. Currently in the demo it isn't because it's a demo, but in the full game the opponents will be randomized. Right now we have 20 opponents and 5 bosses for the NPC. Okay? So you have random 5 bosses. Let me warn you, the bosses are not easy. Don't be discouraged if you can't beat the bosses straight away. You might need to learn the patterns. You need to, for instance, I need to keep some cards to defend against some of this powerful move. But the good thing is that because each card is theoretically counterable, meaning, for instance, Lee has a dodge attack, so it can dodge, if for the right speed, it can dodge any one of the even the most powerful attacks. So there's always a chance to deal with certain problematic cards if you draw the right counter and you keep the right counter in your hand. Okay, so it is a strategy game. So you have to think, your opponent is vulnerable, I should keep this card here, or your opponent is about to go berserk, maybe I should be more defensive. So, and then you have enough card flow, as I showed you earlier. You get to draw a lot of cards, and then you discard one. So you are making choices every round to shape your hand, whether I'm more defensive or more aggressive. And then it's predictable who start the turn first. For instance, turn 7, if I have the initiative, then turn 8, my opponent will have the initiative. That informs me at the end of the turn what sort of card I choose. For instance, if my opponent is nearly dead, and the following turn I get to start first, then it is reasonable for me to discard all my defensive cards and then just go all out. Okay, because if I keep damaging my opponent, I have control. Okay, but there's still a risk, because if at any point that one card doesn't go through, our opponent managed to avoid it, block it, etc., then he has control and then he can turn the table on me. Okay? So sometimes what you do is a low risk strategy or high risk, high reward strategy, your choice. So this is one of our boss, Petranos, the dragon. So a very traditional Western dragon. We have 4 more bosses in the game that we have not revealed. We will not be revealing them until the final game, because we think it's part of the fun of playing the game, to experience the reveal itself. Okay? But this is one of the bosses that you get to experience. The bosses are actually evenly distributed one for each class. This is a monster boss. We'll have a warrior boss, and we'll have gunslinger boss, etc. And then, yes, we will be having multiplayer. There will be rankings, there will be leagues. We are in the middle of designing that. So all these things you get to see against the AI. The AI obviously not as smart as a human being. A human being will bluff, like for instance, a warrior like Lee, it leaves one action point open. What does that mean? If I then pass, then Crystal will be thinking, oh, is he leaving the action point open because he has a block card? Should I risk attacking because maybe he really needs that attack to go through? So Lee, by bluffing, even if, like in this particular case, he has no defensive option, by leaving an action point open, then Crystal will hesitate to attack because maybe he has a block out. Okay, so all these things in multiplayer game it becomes important. So what sort of card at the end of turn? What sort of card your opponent will be putting back into his hand? If I'm paying attention, oh, he's putting that card into his hand, so I need to be careful. So I'll be watching out to defend against that card. So all these things will make sense, make much more sense in multiplayer. You have not seen a spell being cast yet, so I know that, but we'll go back into the demo and show you spell slinger in action a little bit. Okay, so. Okay, right. So I have a bunch of questions. Yeah, I see a technical see a question regarding RAM usage. At its current stage, we have not. It's not the stage where we are optimizing the game yet, okay? Because there's still some contents we are implementing into the game. So forgive the disappointment because we're still at the end of the feature implementation. We are very close to a feature lock. After that, then we'll be devoting full time to optimize the game and for balancing. Okay, so currently, for instance, I have heard feedback regarding the demo, like, oh, the turn is too powerful. Perhaps we have been paying attention to it. We might tone it down as we get closer to do even more balancing. But thank you for the. Okay, so let me continue with the game. Actually, I would need to take a bathroom break, but I'll be with you shortly. Let's take a look at the trailer for now. I'll just take a quick bathroom break. Okay, and I'm back. Well, let me thank you once again for coming to watch our stream. We are very excited to have so many people watching. I hope you guys like our take on the genre, because I think it's new. Because matching a bunch of different like technology and magic together, that's our dream, right? We thought, oh, can we do something crazy like that? So that's what you see in front of you. Hello. So, Kurenai, he has elevated fire to an art form. He will sing with fire and dance with fire. Sadly, most of her enemies do not share her enthusiasm. Yes, I wonder why. That's nice. So you see that our game has a East meet West art style. So some of our characters are more towards the Eastern style, like Japanese or Chinese style, and we have a bunch of art style that's more modern or more Western style. That's by design. We just basically like mash up, different things. Oh, yeah, just to see what comes. So let's talk about Spellslinger. Okay, as I was saying, the primary resource of a Spellslinger is mana. So those of you who have played Magic would understand it quite well. Magic starts with 0. You play land, and then that increases your mana. In our case, you start with 3, so there will be no mana screw, or at least you can still fight and defend, even if you don't draw your card that increase your mana. But then gradually, as you increase your mana, it becomes more and more powerful. You get to play more cards, you get to play more powerful cards. So both quantity and quality. And then the other resource is Arcane Resonance. So again, this is a kind of like a power level indicator. So some of the cards are boosted by Arcane Resonance. Barrier, a Spellslinger has Barrier. As the previous character you saw has Barrier would be Tacky. Of the 5 classes, only these 2 classes have Barrier. So just to have different flavor of the cards. A warrior, for instance, can never have Barrier. So let's start. Okay, I have no momentum, so I generally get rid of the heavy. Hey, she gets the start. Okay, that is a spell. Okay, spell is a mechanic that's special to Spellslinger. So you see these 3, I call it a symbol. I used to call them balls. Our artist actually hates it. The delivery asked me to refer these as symbols. Okay, they are arcane symbols, or concentration symbol actually. So what they are, basically when you cast spell is, like reloading, you can't do anything while casting a spell. But your opponent can attack. So if let me try to attack. So for instance, if I attack with this card, throw jab, one of the symbol has disappeared. So this is a concentration symbol. Imagine in a fantasy setting, a mage is casting a spell, and then you get disrupted when you're being attacked. So that's what's happening here. So one of the concentration symbol disappears. If all 3 disappear, then the spell fails. Okay, so you're not blocking a spell technically. You're trying to disrupt the concentration of the caster. Unfortunately, even though I have 3 action points, technically I can attack 3 times. But number 1, these 2 are defensive cards. Number 2, I have not drawn any momentum increase. So this doesn't require momentum, but this does. Even though there's an attack, I cannot attack right now because I do not have enough momentum. So its spell will succeed. Okay, so I can't do anything about that.
Your turn.
So this little thing, seems an innocuous spell, is central to a spell slinger because it increases the maximum mana. The deck is designed to function with a lot more maximum mana. So the first order of business for Spellslinger is to gradually increase maximum mana, and she also gets to burn me for 2. So I take Ignite damage at the end of every turn. Ignite basically takes down like 2, 1, and 0. Okay, so this at the end of this turn I take 2 damage. At the end of next turn I take 1 damage and then goes away. But the Fire Mage will try to keep this Ignite number high on you. So she'll be playing cards to increase this Ignite number, so I'll be burning throughout the way. So
Your turn.
I always think Fire Mage is basically famous. Doesn't want to kill you quickly. If she can, she'll try to always opt for the more painful option. So let me get rid of the Dragon Tail Fight. The cards are designed to be useful in different circumstances. This card is useful sometimes when I need to finish a game, or I need to parry a close range game. A melee, a short range attack. But Fire Mage tends to shoot things at you, so that's not too useful. So I'll do upper strike, and can combo together, but I'll need to build some momentum. I poke. And so many of the spell slinger cards, when they descend, they also increase maximum. So it's desperately tracking. You see, okay, point decision matters. If I have not started with an eye poke, I pass. Then what I could have done is I eye poke and then throat jab and then I have some momentum and then leg sweep. Basically, I can attack 3 times and then this Fire's Life spell will be gone. But unfortunately, I was too impatient. I attacked first, so right now I only have 2 attacks left. I cannot stop this spell. Some spells are much more powerful than this. Okay, so this is a tiny spell. So you don't want to be caught off guard with a big spell. So I want to throat jab her. Since I can't get rid of the spell anyway, I want to make the most use of my leg sweep because you have momentum. I won't be attacking. The thing to remember about this game is that sometimes not attacking is not a detriment because the cards will always be in your hand. Okay, so you can always either discard this if you don't like it. You can always discard this for something, or the damage will always be there when you can unload on your opponent. So the reason to attack with this card is because, okay, she's casting a spell, she can't defend herself, so okay, let's get more damage in. And I might do that if she is low on life. Or I say, okay, I want to play this card when it's meaningful to knock down my opponent so she can't defend, and then chain together some of my own combo. So right now I choose to do the lighter, so I save the leg sweep now.
Your turn.
Avoid night. Turning palm. I wasn't expecting this, so if I have not attacked, then I can do the Dragon Dance because this costs 2 action. I wasn't thinking clearly. I can try to do a partial block. Actually, partial block is also interesting. My 5 block value blocks the 6 damage partially. So I will suffer 1 damage, and whatever effect it has, basically burn damage, basically means more ignite on me, will happen. But it will partially
protect me, so protect me by 5. And because my speed 3 is higher than speed 2, so I get to draw a card. So I will do that. Good deal. Get 1 more card.
Pass.
Take a bunch of house. So, but the downside is because the block was not successful, is being discarded. So being discarded is not a big thing if you don't want to put it back in your hand. Okay. So imagine a very powerful attack in a movie or something that a powerful attack breaks your defense. That defense can no longer be used again. Okay, so that's what's happening here. It's being discarded. The discarded cards will be put back in your hand. So I haven't been explaining this, but basically the discarded cards will get recycled back in your hand. So you get to draw them again. Okay. So I have to.
Your turn.
The card. And then let's see. Lower strike, upper strike, upper strike. So basically I can chain these combos together if I want to. I decide what to change, whether draw cards or damage when I'm given the choice. I discard the dragon cards for now. So you see this row get reduced to 2 cards. So all the cards not shown on the map, on the play area, either these 2 discard pile or my hand, these 5. All the rest are in my deck right now. So I have a chance of drawing it. I will not be drawing the elbow block because it's here, the discard pile. The discard pile at the end of turn will always be reduced to 2 cards. So 2 are taken out of commission, so to speak. The rest are in the deck, and then you have a chance of drawing it. Get danger. Yeah, I'll let it pass out.
Your turn. Pass.
So now it's my chance to do something powerful. Leg sweep. Okay, that works. It's knockdown. Knockdown means he cannot defend again. He cannot defend against that. And upper strike, lower strike. What I want to do is upper strike. So what I want to do is do maximum damage. Okay, so I start with a lower strike.
Pass.
Okay, that puts it in play, doesn't trigger anything. And then do the upper strike. Upper strike also increase my action points because I need more action points to play more cards. So if I trigger more action points, if this doesn't trigger, then after playing my last card, I cannot play anymore. But if I play the next chart, my action points increase by 2 because it triggers. Okay. Now that I have action points and I have both a lower and an upper strike card in play, I can play the throw jab that also triggers, and that does 10 damage. Actually 11 because the leg sweep boosts my damage. Okay, attack damage boost. So suddenly I went from a losing position to a winning position. Okay, so he's at 2 health, I'm at 18. I feel pretty good. Yeah, I'm burning, but I should be fine.
Your turn.
Oh no. Spoke too soon. Internal combustion. Opponent's ignite value is increased by 2x, where x is your Arcane Resonance. So Arcane Resonance 2, so basically put 4 ignite on me, 2x, so 2 times 2 is 4, and then also does 4 damage. So, and at the end of it, I would have 6 ignite. So if I cannot damage her again, that will kill me straight away, because 6 damage at the end of this turn, so 18 well, 18 minus 4 will be 14. 14 minus 6 is 8. And then you take down to 5 damage. So basically, the ignite damage eventually will kill me.
Your turn.
That's the thing about a game. Sometimes you can't... You think you're winning, you think you got it in the bag, but you're not so sure yet. So I have to kill her quickly, otherwise I'm in trouble. Yes, this is my best way to kill her because it does 7 damage. Take lots of damage. Oh, that's good too. Dragon Whip. So I'll go all out because if I defend, the ignite will kill me anyway. So I'll just discount the Dragon Dance. I cannot play more than 2 attacks this time because it requires 2. I only have 2 momentum. I either choose this one or this one. Obviously, I'll play the more powerful one. So this is the more powerful 9/3, 9 damage and faster. Like that. Block everything. But it's kind of close because if the game lasts for 1 more turn, I guess I'll. Okay, I'm taking 27 damage, quite a bit. So next, character I'll be fighting will be Kelly. Kelly is a vampire, okay? She has been called evil. She is shunted by society, all because of the thirst. The more that it is suppressed, the more that it consumes. Mortality is hardly a blessing, it's eternal suffering. Okay, that's a tragic figure. But I have to kill you anyway, so that's fine. Kelly, a vampire, a monster. Test. So, and I this lower up I can bring together. Oh, get rid of them. So the vampire, as I explained earlier, utilized bloodlust. Every time she damaged me, her bloodlust level would increase, and then she gets to play more and more powerful cards. But before she unleashes, the number of cards she can attack each turn is just 1. Okay, so basically she's in her docile mode. But once she unleashes, she's in her crazy mode, and then she attacks me up to 10 times. So it's a feast or famine character. It's a very fun character. You can snowball very quickly, or you can keep her suppressed, and then she doesn't do very much. Let's see what happens this game. So I'll try to do the lower that lands. Upper, and that lands. Then the Twin Dragon. That allows me to put 1 card back in hand. And then I can attack again. So that's what Lee does, if unopposed.
Your turn.
Okay. That doesn't sound too good. Okay, so what is that? If you or your opponent held this 15 or less, you're granted Frenzy. Frenzy is any attack damage your opponent takes will draw your card. So it's an extremely powerful card. Even though she is at 9 health, I wonder if she can recover from that. Because a lot of cards that a vampire has also heals her. For instance, Lifesteal, at the end of every turn, it heals her for 1. Damage me 1 and heal 1. So
Your turn.
That's not the only kind, and she is drawing cards as well. So
Your turn.
this is a very scary situation. And maybe she doesn't have any more attack counts, otherwise she'll be playing it. I don't know. But actually, I was actually a little bit scared. Despite my fantastic opening. I think that this part because I want to kill her quickly. Okay, that's what I'm afraid of. Now, I have a choice. This leech attack basically damaged me for 6 and heal her for 6. So, at the end of it, if I don't do anything, I'll be at, what, 20? And she'll be at 16. So, the table is turned very quickly. But if I were to dodge, which I have, a Dragon Dance, I'm slower, I can still play it, but I have to discard a card. Then I'll be left with 1 attack, so basically you're in a long game with a vampire. Not my favorite because she has a lot of drain line. But if I don't do anything, the most I can, well, I can do 16 damage. Yeah, I can. You heal for 6. 16, so but then if she managed to stop any one of my attacks, but then I won't be enough. That won't be enough to kill her. Then I'll be down a card. So it's a tough decision. Will she be able to stop my attack? Previously, it didn't attack with everything, so she must have some defensive card. I would choose to not kill her. Plan for a long fight. Unnatural cunning. Okay. She gets to replay her attack again. Okay, this I have to dodge. Because if I don't stop this, he can attack unopposed. So and it does a lot of damage, 9. That'll be at 11, that'll be killed by the rest of the attack. So I'll dodge here. Oh. Mist form. So Kelly transformed into a mist. That dodged my attack, so I was right. She has something up her sleeve. And then she still gets to leech.
Your
Have to pass here. Then lifesteal.
Your turn.
Okay.
Pass.
Okay. No action point, have anything.
Your turn.
So the table has turned. When I was doing fantastic, she was at 10. And now she's at 24 and I'm at 9. What to do? Is a lower strike, upper strike? Did she put that? Oh, the murder swipes. I was thinking whether I should keep the Dragon Dance to block the murder swipe. Murder swipe is, yeah, let's just discard the murder swipe. Throat jab.
Pass.
Yeah, that's good.
Your turn.
Lisa. Frenzy again. Unquenchable thirst. I don't think I can win this. I partially block it. Heals a bit. Take a bit of damage. Oh, defensive card, can't do anything.
Your turn.
Frenzy. Okay, I'm dead.
Your turn.
So, as you can see, all is not what it seems. In any case, I hope you like our stream. it is towards the end of the demo now, because even if I win against Kelly, we have only put in 5 opponents for the demo. So I guess thank you for watching. You guys have no more questions, then I guess I'll call it a day. Call it a night for you guys. I'm from Hong Kong, so daytime here. Good luck. I guess no more questions. Yeah. So thank you for watching again. I will, if you haven't watched our trailer, I'll show it again. But that's all from us. Thank you.